We play and call it work.
MiniWarGamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com, here with
Matthew,
Josh,
and Quirk.
Welcome Wargamers to a live sit and talk here at Nova Open.
Woo!
This is a lot of fun, first time for us. This is the first time here at Nova Open, so we are very excited to be here. And what we're going to do is treat this like a sit and talk, so you guys will take turns coming up, asking us questions. You can direct questions to a specific person, which might be the best way of doing it, just because we talk over each other. Unless you want to see chaos, then that's fine too. And I have a sense that there's some masochistic people in it. No, I know there are. It's not even a sense, I know there are. But that's fine. So there's that. Also, I have to say that Quirk is lucky to be here with us today. Because he tried to pull a prank on Josh last night, and it backfired on Matt.
Why are we telling this story?
Because
I'm going to tell it anyways.
It's awesome. So I'll just leave that and let it settle, and if you want to ask questions, that's entirely up to you guys. So, yeah, so...
Just shove the questions from where they are.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do because of mic and audio purposes. Somebody raise a hand, and we will point, you'll ask a question, and then we'll repeat it in the mic so as to pick it up.
Very complicated process.
Yeah. So,
All right, who wants to go first?
All right. For Matt, we're starting to do a review of the Beast Arises series from GW, but never finished your thoughts on those books. So now that all 12 books are out, what did you think of it?
Okay, well, first to answer the why I didn't finish the review, I had just had this like hankering to do a bit of a show, the Matthew's Thoughts show, where I just feel like sitting down and talking about stuff. But after a bunch of episodes of it, I realized I didn't like just sitting alone in a room talking about stuff. I realized I like talking with people. So that show, if that show did return, it would probably be with somebody else with me, because there's a different dynamic to it. So that's kind of why I stopped it, because it just wasn't fun to just sit there and talk about stuff by myself. But to answer your other question, or the actual question, as to what I thought, overall I enjoyed the series. I feel like it didn't need to be 12 books. It could probably have been done in 7 or 8. I'll try not to give spoilers, but basically there's a certain thing that happens in the book that just happens again, and then it happens again, and it happens again. And you're just like, didn't you already do this 3 times? Like it just seemed a little too stretched out. Like it felt like a TV show that had to fill out a certain number of seasons, and so they spend a little too long not getting to the actual story. And then of course there was like 10 or 11 different, I think 10 different authors, 9 different authors throughout the 12. And so of course you get the varying level of, you have certain styles that you like more as well. But overall I really liked the series of what it did for the lore for the orcs. I enjoyed learning more about them. I enjoyed certain characters like Van Gerich, or however you say his name, the Grandmaster of the Assassins. Sure, something like that. So I would recommend it, and especially there's certain ones, like the very first book was awesome, I loved it. And then there was, I don't remember exactly which ones I liked more or less, but overall it was a good series to read. But I'd say that it just kind of stretched too long in the end, is my overall impression of the last half of that series. All right? Yeah. All right, who's next?
This is for both you and Dave. I saw you two playing Shadowspire today. What are your impressions of it? And when more warbands come out, will you guys do a show of it for the channel and the website?
I'll let you start because I just talked.
Oh, okay. What do I think of Shadowspire? I think that it's awesome because chaos always wins. And this is true, because Khorne cares not, and that's what happened in the game.
So Khorne didn't care that you died?
Khorne didn't care that you lied. But it is actually an incredibly fun game, and we will be doing a lot of coverage for it. It's actually very fun. And normally, apparently, takes a half hour per game. It didn't take a half hour with us.
Well, we were learning, and it's awesome.
I don't know if that's the reason. I think...
well, it's one of the reasons.
That is true, yeah. yeah, we will cover it, and it was a lot of fun. And not just because I won.
Don't believe his lies. But no, actually, it was really good. Like, it was nice because in the entire demo game, we got to experience pretty much everything that the game has to offer, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a shallow thing. It's because obviously tactics and the deck building aspect and all, once they expand onto other armies, it's going to be really good. But I'm excited for it. I'm also excited for it for MiniWarGaming because if it could be another source of a show that can do really well for us, because they're going to be really pushing it, which means there should be. I think the game is solid, so I think them pushing it combined with the fact that the game is actually really good will get it a good audience, which will be good for us because then we can service that audience and also help them find even more people to get into the game. But the miniatures are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar miniatures are already really good, but these ones, I remember sitting down and looking at them and immediately thinking, that is a good looking, because oh man, I'm drawing a blank, the Sigmarites. The Stormcast Eternals, yes, thank you.
Your side that you played.
Yeah, the side that I played, the Stormcast Eternals. That whole line, I've always thought it was a cool line, especially a couple of the characters. But overall, it's kind of like Space Marines to me. It's like, yeah, they're cool, but they're cool because they're in this larger universe. Well, the models that they had just for those three guys alone, those three models were really cool, especially the captain. Just really fantastic looking models. And that really added to the immersion of it. And then just the system was fast paced, which means we'll be able to film more of it. Because a typical game of 40K, well, it takes hours for us to film, whereas I'm anticipating this only taking a couple hours to film. Just depends, obviously, on how the game actually turns out and the level of expertise and everything else. But I'm really looking forward to having it covered on our channel, so you can look forward to that when it comes out. Next question.
A question? Okay, so it's all for all four of you guys. 30K. It's nice to see it coming back a little bit over the last few weeks, seeing some games back up on the website and stuff. Is anyone building a new list or have any ideas for expansion to what they have currently, or maybe adding some big Lords of War or apocalypse type things to, spice it up possibly?
Okay, so it's a question for all four of us?
Yeah.
So you start, Josh.
I might have the most to talk about here.
Yeah.
Okay,
hold on, you go last.
Okay.
So no for me.
Okay.
I'll explain in the second one.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe for me, but it's maybe a no for me.
For the moment.
For the moment.
Yeah.
It's a very clear answer. There won't be any more explanation.
I'm not sure if there's been any battle reports with them yet, but I'm expanding more into the Custodies.
Nice.
And as for adding new things, well, Forge World's taking quite a bit of money from me today, so you should probably see some new Custodies out on the battlefield.
I'd say overall, before I pass to Josh, yeah, with 8th edition coming out, that's obviously taken a hit to Horus Heresy, the interest for Horus Heresy. We've noticed a dip in viewership, as well as vault members sign-ups for it as well. And so we're analyzing what we're going to do with it. Right now we have a bank of another 7 or 8 weeks of battle reports already filmed.
Oh, nice.
So you can expect to see it consistently for the next while, every Friday. Once those run out, we're still going to be filming some. We have some guests lined up to play, but we're kind of waiting to see what they're going to do. That doesn't mean that we don't want to play Horus Heresy. It's just that we love 8th edition so much,
Yeah,
and it's hard to go back to the 7th edition rules. But combine that with the fact, like, that wouldn't alone be enough. Because if the numbers are there, if the viewership is there, then that's what drives what we decide to do. And so it's just been that there's been a dip in interest in the game, and I think Forge World's having some difficulties with it too, with their lead writer dying, and that's a major hiccup when there's only 2 or 3 writers to begin with. So I think they've kind of slowed down. Like, models have been coming out, but rules-wise, it's really slowed down.
Yes.
So if I heard that Horus Heresy was getting 8th edition, I would be super excited, and it would be covered like crazy. But overall, we're just kind of waiting to see what they do with it. But
Before I give the Josh though, because you actually said something at the very end there. If they did 8th edition rule it, then what I would do is I would certainly collect the Blood Angels army. I think that'd be awesome, and the Space Wolves army, because that's just a logical extension of the armies that I have in 40K, and those are the ones that I would be most passionate about. And yeah, that actually makes sense. And I would want to do more like chaos proper armies too. Like everyone, you kind of can't. There's not enough ever chaos, Josh.
So right now, I'm trying to think of the stuff I have for Night Lords you guys wouldn't have seen yet. I have another 20 Assault Marines that have they're almost finished. I just got to finish doing the basing on them. But other than that, they're fully painted, as well as a Land Raider for the Night Lords. I still have, I don't know how many people have seen the actual army in full. I've got an Imperial Fist army that's been sitting on my shelf for quite some time. I will admit that I lost steam on it a little bit for trying to get it completed, but I am getting close to having that to being able to play 2,500 points and get it on the channel every once in a while. Other than that, another thing that I want to get into some of the Horus Heresy games is, I'm going to butcher the name of it. I think it's the Stormblade. It's one of the super heavies, the big plasma tank.
Yeah.
So I've had that sitting on my shelf for a little while, and again, just haven't had the excuse to bring it yet in the game. Still really curious to see what we're going to get with the next book that comes out. Obviously, Dark Mechanicum and Night Lords are right up my alley for things I want to add. I am looking at expanding out the Night Lords a little bit more. I'm back and forth on a Fire Raptor or a Storm Eagle, but I definitely want to get some more flyers. So I am still working at expanding those out. I think part of what happened with the Imperial Fists is that I started buying more things for the Night Lords, and the army was already ready. I was enjoying playing that in 8th edition and having to jump back and forth between the two different systems. But yeah, I do have plans to continually expand armies out. And as far as starting a new army, I'm really curious to see what the Dark Mechanicum gets and how different from the actual regular Mechanicum, like how much they borrow from that list. But I could see myself starting a small Dark Mechanicum force to add to what the studio owns that I play for Mechanicum. So yeah, that's my answer for now, anyways.
Thank you.
It's interesting just on the subject of what we cover and why we cover it. A lot of it has to do, like there's business decisions made. We look at reports, obviously. We look at viewers. We look at who's signing up to the vault and why they're signing up to the vault. But a lot of it, I'd say a good chunk of it actually is more about interest within the office. You can't get a game off the ground if nobody wants to play it. And so, I'm not saying Horus Heresy is that kind of thing, but it's at the same time when 8th edition hits and we're all playing and loving the changes, and finally, because for myself at least, I was getting really tired of 7th edition by the time it finished. It probably because I knew 8th edition was coming, but I was just tired of the bloat and just everything about it. I've always loved 40K and I always will, but rules are an easy part of that's probably the weakest part of the entire IP is their rules. Because when 8th edition hit, I just loved it. It's got its problems. The rule books are horribly organized, and terrain doesn't make any sense. And I could go on for a few things, but overall, it's phenomenally better than 7th edition. It's true, right?
Tell us how you really feel, Matthew.
That's exactly how I feel.
Journalistic integrity.
Yeah, no, I'll say it as it is, right? But the fact is, the game itself is so much better than 7th was, and so for me personally, it's like I don't want to go back to 7th. I want Horus Heresy to be an 8th. But at the same time, I'm working on other projects. Like we're working on the Deathwatch campaign right now, and so that's been something that I've been deep inside of for that, and other projects that we've been on as well. So it's kind of died down a bit in the office for excitement, but I'm sure there will be, as the releases come out, it'll pick back up again.
No, the heresy train has no brakes. I'm still going hard on it.
All right, next question.
Okay, this is for all four of you. Did any or all of you get to attend the preview night last night? And if so, what was your favorite announcement they made?
Only Quirk did, but he told us all exactly what it was.
We should let him talk for a bit.
Oh, I don't know. What's my favorite announcement, though? I'll let you start quick.
There's so much that happened. I think the announcements as a whole for the codex has got everybody really excited. It's super exciting to hear that Tyranids is going to be getting a new codex. Guard need a codex. I'm sorry, Guard players out there, but you need to tone it back a little bit.
You think they'll tone it back? I don't think they'll tone it back.
Oh, I need them to tone it back. I can't be Guard.
There's no brakes on this.
You shush. No, I think my favorite announcement out of everything was the expanding on the ways we can play for 40K, so the match play, the narrative, and open play, things like that. I really enjoyed that. But what really got me going was bringing back the VDR, the custom vehicles. That got me really, really excited. I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with that, and I'm also really excited to see a lot of people try and actually kit bash their new land raiders, and we might even see the reintroduction of looted wagons, which I think would be amazing. So, yeah, there's a lot of
Be what?
amazing. Why make it fun of me?
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sitting right here.
Doesn't mean
All right, moving on.
For me, it was just nice to know the next few months of releases, because as you can imagine, maybe, I'm not sure if you think about it, but for us to okay, for example, anybody here who watches their 40K battle reports may have noticed that the week leading up to the Chaos Space Marine Codex release, we all of a sudden put out 12 battle reports. It's because we didn't know it was about to happen, and then we had this, you know, we like to get ahead of ourselves. We like to film and get a backlog of videos. And so then all of a sudden it's like, hey, Chaos Codex is coming out. We're like, oh, frick. How many do we have? We have 8. Okay. Oh, Dave has 4 more. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, this week is Chaos Space Marine Old Edition week, and so it's just nice to know ahead of schedule so that we don't do that. So that when the guests come and play and they're like, "I want to play Chaos," we'll be like, "Sorry, we know that they're about to come out, so we don't need that," and we can try to tailor what we film. So knowing the next 3 months is nice. At the same time, knowing the next 3 months is going to be crazy. Just with Shadowspire, Necromunda, 3 codexes, the Age of Sigmar stuff, that new book, the vehicle design rules, the chapter approved stuff. It's going to be quite the ride. But I'd have to say the part that I'm most excited for, I would say Necromunda because I really want it out, but I wish it was December or January, just so I could pace myself. So I'd have to say the Tyranid Codex, obviously, is what I'm looking forward to the most. They're already really good, but give them some stratagems and some warlord traits and psychic powers. And can't wait to see what they'll do with them. And hopefully drop the points level a bunch of stuff too to make it more competitive. Because I don't think they're tournament competitive yet, right?
Yeah, they are.
Are they?
Oh,
Oh, great. Awesome. I don't play tournaments, so I don't know. That's what I'm most excited about.
I think out of all the announcements for myself, it's Necromunda. I did not play Necromunda previously, but I played Mordheim and loved it a lot. So the setting really interests me. And it's kind of that perfect storm because I knew that Necromunda was going to be coming up, and actually it was a couple days before they had announced it. I had rewatched the latest Judge Dredd movie, and I got right on to Anvil Industry and started looking at how I can build a 10-man team of the Arbites, the Arbites. I don't know how you say it properly.
Arbites.
Is it Arbites?
I don't know.
No. See, I believed you for a second there.
Arbites. Arbites.
And then the announcement actually came out that they are for sure redoing it. So I have no idea if they're going to have rules for them when it comes out, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have my team ready as soon as it drops, and hopefully they do have rules for them immediately. But yeah, that's what's got me most excited right now, because I love the games that they're narrative, but they drive their own narrative. And all the skirmish progression games that Games Workshop's put out in the past, Blood Bowl, Mordheim, all that stuff. I really dig that stuff, so that's what I'm most excited about.
Well, a lot of the stuff that came out recently benefited me because of Chaos Space Marines and very soon Death Guard, but in particular, I am the most excited for the Tyranid Codex, and that's because I get to have a proper battle with Matt, where the new Chaos and the new Tyranids get to duke it out in this eternal war between these two armies.
We're going to be doing that soon, though, for the 10th anniversary.
That will be soon, and it's very good that we're doing that soon because
before I get a new codex, you have a chance.
Yeah. So that is the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most out of the new releases that were announced last night. Next question.
I know a bunch of new models have been released and some have been updated, but any one of you four, all four of you, what model or models would you like to see, brought up to the 21st century?
Oh, I got that. Do you have one right away?
I got to think about this.
Okay, no, I don't have to think about it. Most of my Tyranid army. Essentially, the story of MiniWarGaming's beginning is that we started in Lord of the Rings, and that got us into the hobby, that we decided to start a business together, and this is the business we started, not like it is today, but so we looked at it and we realized that Lord of the Rings wasn't going to be our main source. We had to get into 40K. So I was looking at the 40K armies. I wasn't very pleased with the idea of getting to 40K because I didn't care for the universe. I love it now, but
it was the Space Nuns.
Yeah, nuns with guns. Anyway, so I love StarCraft, at least before all the StarCraft 2 stuff. I really love StarCraft Brood War. Zerg was my favorite army, and so Tyrannus was a natural progression, but I hated their models. Absolutely hated the models. Because just seeing all these aliens have conquered 12 galaxies, or something like that, that's the rumor, and they've adapted so much, and yet they still just look like they're holding these dumb guns. Because they were developed so long ago, the termagants, whatever you want to call them.
There's no you. There never has been.
Anyway, they look dumb. They look really dumb.
Whoa, horrible rule codex, they look dumb.
I love you, Games Workshop. Please don't break up with me. No, but I've gotten used to them, so that's okay. You know, I got like a couple hundred of them, so fine. But they just look dumb. And a lot of other models too. Now, they've gotten better. They certainly look a lot better than they did in the 80s. But I would love to see, those kits are old. They're still really old. The Hormigons are okay, because they're pretty straightforward. They've got, they got their blades, and so they look neat. But they got to get rid of this whole holding the gun aesthetic for the Tyranids. I don't think it'll ever happen, because now it's just the iconic look of them. Like, they could update the models, but I would be very happy to see kind of a few of those kits redone, a la Space Marine. They don't have to get bigger. I don't want them to get bigger, but just, I don't know, something more intricate than what they are right now. So the Termagants, that would be my vote.
I think Khorne Berserkers would be amazing if they were updated. Because you look at the Plague Marines, right? In fact, look at Age of Sigmar. Like, if they just swapped it over, they would be Khorne Berserkers, pretty much. I think that would be the best thing. This is a subtle, huge hint that I'm going to just throw out into the universe. Khorne Berserkers, please get updated.
Pretty much any named character that's still in Flatcast. So, what's Flatcast? That is Flatcast.
Oh, yeah. Where it
No,
was a two-part mold, they had to make sure.
Basically.
Yeah.
No, it'd be really nice to see, because what they did when you look at like the Assassins, for example, when they came up with the new Assassin models, and they're all in these huge dynamic poses, and they all look absolutely gorgeous, but you look at the older ones, and they're horrible. It'd be nice to actually, thank you. It would be nice to see everything kind of get revamped to almost Age of Sigmar level. So, for example, we've got the Mega Boss for, Iron Jaws, who is this huge, gorgeous, well-armored model. But then you go ahead and look at Ghazghkull Thraka, and he's still, like, he's smaller than the Mega Boss for Iron Jaws, like, size-wise. So it'd be nice to see all these named characters get revamped, put into plastic, more dynamic poses, and actually look more appropriate to the size, I guess, the game's going. So that's my vote.
I always have an opinion on stuff, even if I shouldn't have an opinion on stuff. If I could pick any one random model, just thinking of, and actually Quirk's gonna laugh because he scooped it up from under me. Doom Rider. Everybody remember Doom Rider?
Yeah. Doom Rider.
So I'd love to see a modern take on Doom Rider.
Slide Marvel's coming back, apparently.
Yeah. No, I heard that one, so that's interesting at least. Other than that, I think the one that I would really be excited to see, even though I'd never field him, is Phalbadon finally getting a new model. Because that thing's ancient, and he's just... I feel bad every time people field him, and he just is no good. Just a terrible... But he's little, and you kind of feel like you're picking on him, you know? So if he gets this impressive new model and continues to be Phalbadon, then I'd be happy with that.
Next question.
I got something to say. Okay, I don't disagree with the new Abaddon model. I think that
Phalbadon.
I don't know what language you're speaking. That's definitely not a word, but yeah, that would be good. And there's no more AdMech allowed in MiniWarGaming. Next question.
Have you ever considered putting a little counter on the screen for during Quirk's battle reports every time he rolls a 1, just to get some statistics on how much that actually happens on camera?
That would take forever.
All right, okay, I'm gonna say this. Okay, years ago, and you'll remember this, we actually used to keep track of like victory points and as they would happen, and it took a lot because back then when I was editing the battle reports, I remember this, and it was an arduous process of combing through every minute, and the production time that it would take to make a battle report was just not feasible. So we went from that to not that, and the time drastically was more efficient. But I think in this case, we can make an exception, maybe at least once.
Not 8th edition anymore, though.
No,
I'm good in 8th edition.
I
He's
don't
been
know.
better in 8th edition.
I think you're tempting the dice gods by saying that. Not in 8th edition. Like that is a big, yeah. Okay.
So one thing I could say about rolling ones, and Dave's going to be able to attest to this, is that every time I roll my average for me, I usually scream my head off. And it doesn't matter where Dave is. He could be in the office, he could be at home, he could be here and I'd be at the studio. He will bust into the studio and be like, what'd you roll? Did you roll ones? Post it on Facebook. It doesn't matter what happens, so I don't, it's like the Dave call, just scream really, really loud.
This is actually pretty fun. That's true.
Next question.
It's not true. Next question. And back.
Just comment. I got a Quirk dice at a Deathwatch.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
Consecutive ones, which actually helped me because I used it for my leadership.
Oh.
There was another one up here. Yes.
Do you guys have arguments about which factions you're going to play amongst the group? Play
with or against?
Well, no, like you pick one because I know you guys usually pick one and play one on a core plays, and just kind of like, do you guys have fighting? Not really fighting, but any type of dibs or or just kind of like just divide it up and go.
Okay. Well, Josh seems to think that his AdMech are invincible, so I would gladly fight them.
No, he's asking whether there's arguments about the armies we choose to play.
Oh, I see.
Like
Okay.
as,
Okay.
not against.
Then no, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the most part, we've always been able.
I just wanted to pick on you, Josh.
Yeah, sorry.
Good try.
Yeah. But for the most part, it hasn't been a problem. I remember because it's been a gradual addition. Like Dave and I started out Tyranids and Chaos. There was not even a problem there. I had no interest in Chaos, and he had no interest in Tyranids.
I like both.
Yeah, and as we progressed, we added employees. We'd always instruct them, fill a gap, essentially. And so it kind of worked because not everybody gets hired at the same time. So it's not like 5 new people come in. It's like, all right, fight over which gap you're going to fill. So they just kind of naturally progress that way. The exception to that is when we started Horus Heresy, that we had the big discussion about what armies to play. And there wasn't any arguments there, I don't think.
You left.
Well, that was different. Yeah, when I'm like, I think we're gonna play Horus Heresy, guys, and then I leave, and then all of a sudden they're all just like,
I think there's
just going through the.
No,
there's more of a story.
There's more of a story.
Okay. Apparently, I'm unaware of certain things that go on in my business, which is probably the case. Better to be the case.
Okay, so it's Friday at like 4:30. We're all getting ready to leave, and we're all sitting in the back office talking and everything like that. And Matt just kind of casually walks in, pulls the pin on this grenade, and goes, "By the way, guys, we're starting Horus Heresy. Pick an army," and runs. And there was a moment of silence. We're all sitting around going, "Okay, what are you gonna play?" "Well, I want to play that." "What are you gonna play?" "Are you gonna play that too?" "Well, what if I want to play this?" And we had a roundtable discussion for a little while, and finally came down to, okay, everybody pick 2, and if somebody has the same one, you fight for it. And Steve got to pick whatever he wanted. But yeah, no, normally whenever we pick armies, stuff like that, it was just straightforward, but Horus Heresy was a little bit different, because Matt kind of walked in and went like, okay, go, and nobody knew what to do.
Yeah, everybody got pretty excited over that. When I told them, yeah, we're going to cover Horus Heresy, we really got into that, and it was a lot of fun. But were there any major armies that people really kind of struggled over?
Ultramarines kind of came up a little bit.
Ultramarines? But we didn't end up doing Ultramarines right away. You did Alpha Legion and somebody else did something.
I walked in because I was going to...
So fought over Ultramarines and then nobody played it?
We all fought over Ultramarines, and we're just like, okay, well, no,
Yeah.
I like this lore and everything like that. And it came down to me, I'm like, well, I like Ultramarines, and I like Alpha Legion. And it was legitimately a coin toss. A whole lot of coins, like, heads is Alpha Legion, tails is Ultramarines. Heads, I'm playing Alpha Legion, and that's just how I picked them. So...
I gotta say one thing. It was actually very hard for me because all of the Chaos Aligned armies, I felt like I needed to play every single one of them. So I felt like there was a major, like, people in my kitchen using my pots and pans, and I'm not liking it, feeling when that happened. So I don't think I ever told you guys this. I may have told you this. It was like, I don't want them to play. I don't want them to play any of them. I want to play all of them. So I settled on Sons of Horus because that just made the most sense. And then it was like, okay, all right. I guess Sons of Horus, then everything else is secondary. I hate saying that, but it's true.
The only one I was going to add to the whole Horus Heresy thing was myself and Lee. When you guys did your announcement that you're going to start playing Horus Heresy, I wasn't employed there at the time, but I was coming in as a regular guest, and they all knew how into the lore I was and that I was interested in Horus Heresy, so I was working a retail job at the time, and I think around 4:40 I got a call, and I remember being on speaker with, well, not the bosses, but all the other content producers that I was buddies with, and talking about it, and them saying, okay, well, you got to come here and figure out like what army it is that you're going to start. And I'm going like, I work till 9,
Right.
and I think I actually skipped out of work that day. Like I think I called in while I was at work, but I said I was sick and went home, and then drove over to the studio. And it was Lee and myself were both interested in the Night Lords, and I ended up, you know, which is kind of funny because it's one of the volunteers and the painter, not one of the content producers, that are kind of like, I want that army, I want that army. And we agreed that, you know, he did have an interest with the Emperor's Children, and I ended up taking the Night Lords. But yeah, I think that was the only kind of time I think that people really called dibs on an army. Right. The other one I'm thinking right now for 40K is the Imperial Guard, because I still have no idea what Astra Militarum are. Steve and I have been kind of playing chicken on who's going to end up playing them, because we got to get an Imperial Guard player in the office. We're just not sure who's going to do it yet, but I think that's the closest to any like conflict there's ever been, because we all have very unique styles in what we like and what we want to play, and for whatever reason they don't seem to cross over that much, other than the Night Lords thing.
And we've been moving more towards people covering more than one army. Like I know in the 6 months leading up to 8th, I think I counted I played 12 different armies in my battle reports, because I was just getting tired of the same things. And also because it's like, okay, I'll be the one to do Necrons, and I remember starting them and they weren't good at the time, and then they get updated and it's like, oh great, now they're that army. So okay, I guess I'll just play Tau, and then they get updated and I'm like, oh great, now they're that army. And so it just kind of continued that way. And then Gene Stealer Cult came out, and so I was the obvious pick for that one because of Tyranids. But then there was all like the Imperium, all the Imperial Agent kind of stuff. And so we've been kind of, people cover more than one army now. And so there is crossover, like there's like 3 Necron players, Steve, myself, and Luca. But Steve and I are very happy to let Luca handle that one. Overall, it's pretty amicable for that. Next question.
Calm down, guys.
Yeah, we'll slow down. Yes?
Would you consider doing a Age of Sigmar narrative campaign?
Yes.
What would it entail if you did it?
What would it entail if we did it? So Age of Sigmar campaign, what would it entail if we did it? Now we did the skirmish campaign.
We did the skirmish campaign, yeah.
It's a little different. Like you're talking about to the same scale as what we do for the 40K narrative campaigns. The answer is yes. The longer answer is
yeah.
It's hard to describe. Like basically, the 40K narrative campaigns have been one of our most successful things that we've done. But we're having a hard time translating them over to Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is struggling. Let's just put it that way. For as much as Horus Heresy is struggling.
In terms of our content.
In terms of I can't speak for sales for Games Workshop. All I can speak of is interest in our videos. And as much as Horus Heresy is, our views have dropped, the Age of Sigmar, it seems to be even more. And so it's hard to want to invest when that's happening, especially when we've tried certain things. You never know. You can never know by looking at the numbers why the numbers are what they are. You can guess. You can try to look for trends. And so it's hard to get motivated there when there's so many other things that we want to do. But having said that, there's definitely been talks several times of doing Age of Sigmar narrative campaigns. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. It's also because usually I'm the one to do the narrative campaigns, and I don't play Age of Sigmar. So that's a bit of a hiccup right there. Others can do them as well, but they usually get caught up in other projects as well. So
Do you think the drop in Age of Sigmar interest is because of the storyline is so bad?
Well, that was. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think Age of Sigmar has dropped off because of the story. I think it's more just that Games Workshop has been focusing on 40K a lot. And so, like, look at the releases. Obviously, they're really focusing on 8th edition. And that makes sense for them. 8th edition came out, they've got to get the stuff updated. Also, it's doing well. I can say that for us, the views have skyrocketed for 8th edition. So if the views are up, that means interest is up, and I can extrapolate from there that their sales are up. But that's all I can say. I don't have any inside information on that. Everybody can see the public reports of their financial reports. But I think it's just that. I think right now everybody's just looking at 40K. And when you really look at the game system as well, not being an Age of Sigmar player myself, but being familiar with the rules, 40K basically takes the Age of Sigmar rule set and kind of fixes the major problems that people don't like about it. And so it's hard to say though. It's so hard to say, and it's just all I can say is that our views are down on it, and so that makes it hard. It makes us want to kind of focus our attention elsewhere. At the same time, we are taking measures to try to experiment with different things with Age of Sigmar to see if it's more us than them. Because I never like blaming an outside influence because I can't do anything about that, and I hate that. And so I try to look inward and say, well, what are we doing wrong? What could we be doing better? Because fantasy content is doing way better, but all we do for fantasy is we just crack out some battle reports. Like it's the simplest one out of all the systems to do. Whereas Age of Sigmar, we keep trying to do special things for it, and it's just so yeah. That's the longer answer to that as well. It's a complicated process, and in the end, what it comes down to is, does somebody get excited by the idea of doing it? Yes, okay, we'll do it, and that's where it really hits off. So the moment somebody all of a sudden gets excited for doing an Age of Sigmar narrative campaign, one will be created. So when that will be, I have no idea. Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's also because Matt and myself, we don't play Age of Sigmar. We play 40K mostly. And so the narrative campaigns are driven with that game. If we played Age of Sigmar, we would probably do narrative campaigns, Age of Sigmar narrative campaigns. It would just be a logical extension of what we do. There'd be no thought. It'd be like, yeah, let's do it for this game system as well. That's got to be it, because we would probably care more to do it. We'd be thinking more about it. Yeah. Next question.
Is there a game system that you guys really enjoy to play, but don't just because of the demand on all the other game systems and the popular ones that you feel kind of obligated to post up for the viewers?
I'll let Quirk answer.
I miss War Machine. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of interest in the office to kind of play or carry out continuing with War Machine, and it was a little bit difficult being the only one in the office, getting really excited when Mark III came out. So yeah, I missed that game. And I play it in my free time now, but it's one of those games that I kind of wish it drew enough of a crowd that we'd be able to bring it back.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, where do you start? I'll let Josh start.
I'm currently the one, I think, that keeps buying random game systems. So it's not necessarily ones I've played, but it's ones that I've read the rule sets that I'm interested in doing. But trying to find the player base I need to even get myself playing the game, never mind make videos on it. So I'll go through the list of things that I literally have armies of sitting on my shelf right now, whether they're complete or not. I do have some bolt action, as well as some Conflict 47. Battlefleet Gothic is another huge one for me because I love my spaceship games. There's a few drop fleet commander armies floating around because I found a Kijiji ad where somebody was selling off multiple armies, bought them all, and just gave them away to people. So that's one that we kind of have a bit of an interest in. I miss Star Wars Armada probably more than anything else. I would love to get back into playing that quite a bit more. And I do have a Team Yankee army. The studio's currently very slowly like super slowly working on getting some Team Yankee stuff together, and that's one that I think in the near future, well, I shouldn't say near future, in the future I do want to at least try covering that game a little bit, because it's a setting and a scale that I'm really interested in. But yeah, I have really bad hobby ADD. I jump around to a bunch of different game systems, so I'm excited for things like Necromunda coming out. But yeah, there's a lot of different little games that I would love to be able to cover if I could finally get my armies done and find some local players that we can create some content with.
It's interesting because where we are in Welland, Ontario, it's a city of 50,000 people and a peninsula of, what, 250,000 people? You gotta drive about an hour to get to the nearest gaming store that has a good player base. Like we have one, and that's 20 minutes away, and he's growing, and that's great, but it's still a small area to service. Like you really, if you want a good solid gaming store, you usually need to set up somewhere with at least 500,000 people, just because of the market it is. And so we're in a small area, so really our gaming experience is us and everybody who comes in. So it's a very abnormal gaming experience, because people keep asking me, did you bring your army to play here? And I'm like, no, I play all week long. I don't need to come to an event to play. I play in awesome studios with cool terrain and well-painted miniatures, and people fly from all over the world to come and play with us, and so that's what we do. But also that means that there isn't that much of a local player base to try all these. Because I'm not sure what your experience is, but I would imagine if you have a local store that has a good player base, then you could go in there with these smaller games and find half a dozen people interested in it and get into it, at least for a little while, and then you can jump to another game and to another game. We don't have that luxury. Not that I'm complaining about our gaming experience, because it's awesome. But, so it's hard, so you have to find people within the office who are interested in it. And so I would love to play a lot of these other little games. I'm going around and I'm demoing games here, like Star Wars Legion, and just a lot of the other ones that are here too. And I want to play them, and I'm trying to find a way to do it. Our business model is, with the MiniWarGaming Vault, the way it is, basically dictates that we need to make sure we do stuff that's very popular. Otherwise, the Vault doesn't have a lot of that value. Like you want to cover a smaller game. Well, those people that are watching that smaller game won't want a Vault membership because it's 95% Games Workshop product. But whereas the Games Workshop viewers like it because it's 95% Games Workshop product. And Dave and I both know the pain of what that feels like to other people, because the first game we got into was Lord of the Rings, and the first White Dwarf we bought, we're like, yes, let's get the White Dwarf. Oh, there's only 3 pages in here that actually even vaguely mention Lord of the Rings, and the rest is 40K and fantasy. So we know what it feels like to want to have one of those games covered and not have it covered, but it just comes down to a simple business decision. Now, having said that, we're exploring ways that will allow us to possibly cover more of these smaller games, because I think they deserve the attention, they deserve the coverage, but we've got to make sure it makes fiscal sense as well for us. And for me, I would just love to be able to do it, but I got to find a financial reason that will allow me to incorporate that into our business. And so we have some ideas that we've been working on, so hopefully over the next year, you'll see us start to dabble in that, and maybe that'll become a bigger part of our business, just covering all the not Games Workshop games as well. Yeah, thanks. All right, next question.
Any chance for a season 3 of the Blood Bowl series? Because I loved watching you guys play. I loved seeing Lee's converted figures. I personally would love to see just a series of just Lee teaching people how to convert, but I understand that's not necessarily.
Well, we got the Deathwatch series at least that we've been putting out, but
Yeah.
I know what you mean. We want more than that.
Yeah.
So Blood Bowl season 3, yeah, there's definitely a chance.
That'd be a riot.
It'd be but I have no idea when. Everybody wants to. We had a discussion just the other day. I was just talking to, not everybody, but I was just like, we got to kind of plan out our next part, things that we're going to be doing. So tell me what you're most excited to do. And we talked about things like Blood Bowl and Mordheim, Gork and Morka, Battlefield Gothic, Path to Glory, things like that. And there's a lot of interest in Blood Bowl. But out of all the things that were chosen, there was something else chosen. So Blood Bowl is always there. In fact, I was just in the Forge World store and I bought every single star player. Because next time we do a Blood Bowl league, I want to be ready and have all those handy so that we can incorporate those into the league. But, so yes, there's a chance, but there's no current plans. I don't know if there's much more to say than that. Okay. Next question.
What was your take on Legion?
Star Wars Legion?
Yeah.
I didn't get much. Did anybody else here play it more?
No.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk again. I only got to play like one round, and the demo was really nice, but he was just kind of like pushing it along. So I'd like to try it more. It seems pretty straightforward, which is good. I like it. It feels like you can see a lot of the influence of X-Wing and Armada coming over to that game, where it's like a very, very straightforward system. They don't try to get too complex, but then the complexity comes down to the bajillion cards you can add to your guys. I'm not sure who here plays X-Wing or Armada, but basically this is what your table looks like. There's your ships, and here's your 150 cards telling you what your ships can do. So the rules are simple, but not really, because there's the complexity there. So I like that. I like that aspect though, because that means you can learn the game in like 5 minutes. It's Star Wars, which is really cool. It's definitely on my radar for wanting to cover it. And I say my radar because I'm not speaking for MiniWarGaming, I'm speaking for myself as a game that I want to kind of be like, yeah, maybe we should try this out. So that's all I can say so far, because I played one round on a demo. I'm gonna play it more tomorrow. I'm gonna try to sneak in for a few demos, so that the guy knows. See what happens.
You got a wig.
I'll get a wig. Yes, I get a mustache. I don't, but I can just paste one on or something. Next question. Yes.
Did you guys try Shadowspire yet?
Yes. Now you came in a little later, so we already talked about that. But we loved it. Dave and I played it. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun.
Who won, the Stormcast or
The Stormcast.
Chaos won.
Stormcast won.
Corn cares not. Chaos won. That's not true. That's not untrue. It's your job to understand what I'm saying.
Sounds
I know,
pretty
right? It's a fun job. It's a great game. We're really, really looking forward to covering it. I want to play more. Definitely.
And I want to beat Matt more. So.
Keep practicing. Next question.
Are open vaults going to get back on
Yes.
Here's a question to you guys. We'll get to you in a second. Would you guys like it if more than just Quirk did open vaults?
Or maybe if Quirk did open vaults.
Yes.
Oh, I'll take that out of your side.
Thanks. I feel like I deserve that though, but anyway.
So, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
My question was to Quirk and the betting board that was. If you could explain what exactly happened with all that.
What does that mean? Wait, what's he talking about?
The brimstone.
The,
You know it.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know.
So, for those of you who aren't aware, I was looking through the book and was thinking, okay, you know what, I want to start a new army, but I want to try something a little bit cheesy and just spam something. And turns out, brimstones at the time were a 2-point model that have toughness 3, a 4-up invuln, and can cast smite.
For 2 points, and they're extra cheesy.
Yep, they are super cheesy. Then the Chaos book comes out, it's like, well, now they're 3 points, they die when they try and cast it, and they only cause 1 mortal wound. I'm like, oh, well, I already bought 180 of these, and I painted them, and yeah, so before the book had come out, Steve's looking at me going, you're never going to play that, there's no reason for having that many models, and I'm willing to bet you're going to sell it before the end of the month. So I walk in later on, and he's probably got 5 or 6 people in there betting on months. I'm like, what is this? Like, well, we're betting to figure out which month you sell your brimstones. I was like, I'm not selling my brimstones. So Steve goes, all right, so if you last a year, you win. I'm like, okay. Maybe 2 weeks later, a guest comes in and goes, man, you got some brimstones? Like, yeah. He's like, I kind of need like 30. Can I buy them off you? And I'm like, I'm not selling all of them. I'm only selling 30. So yes, you can. Steve walks in and goes, wait. You only have 180 brimstones. Like, did you count them? He's like, maybe. Where's the other ones? I was like, I sold them. He's like, already? So he goes up, circles it. It turns out Rob won. But the running bet was that I was going to sell them to Matthew, and every time I'd be like, hey Matt, you want to buy some brimstones? But I'm only going to sell them to you.
What do you need 180 brimstones for?
Cheese.
You need 4 brimstones.
You honestly do only need 4 brimstones unless you're running them as an army of their own. But I kept telling Matt, I was like, Matt, you want to buy them? But I'm only going to sell them to you at like 20 at a time every month so that everybody wins Steve's challenge. And you just see Steve over at his desk be like, that doesn't work. I can't think of a logistical reason why that doesn't work yet, but it doesn't work. So But yeah, that's what the bet was, and the whiteboard above Steve's desk was trying to figure out when I would sell 180 brimstones. I currently have 150 left.
Now that's your award-winning army.
That is my award-winning painted army. That is my 2-time winning best painted army.
Want to explain that?
Small gaming store.
Thanks, Matt. So the first time I got to play it, Chris and I actually went for a doubles tournament, and Chris brings his absolutely gorgeously painted Eldar, and I brought my 180 brimstones. I spray can and dry brush, so they're done. I brought them. So Dan's walking around, he's just like, oh, these brimstones look terrible, but that Eldar, Dan's the guy who's running the event, and so Chris wins best painted, but because I was his teammate, through proxy, I also won best painted. And I got this little wood plaque and everything, so I set my brimstones back up on the shelf and I put the best painted plaque right behind it. Steve walks in, sits down and goes, no, you did not win that. I'm like, actually, I did. So Chris walks in, completely backspace, he was like, yeah, actually, he did win it. I was like, yes. So then later on, I went to another tournament a couple weeks later, and I was the only person who actually brought a fully painted army. So by default, I won best painted a second time. So then Matt and Steve both walk in and they look at it like, is that a $25 gift card for painted? I was like, yes, I won best painted again. So yeah, Matt still won't buy my brimstones.
I already have like 30 brimstones. I don't need another 150.
That's 26 more than you need.
26 more, yeah, exactly. We played a game with them and I realized you only need 2, actually. I think you can get away with just 2. And we may or may not take advantage of the fact that our employees are plastic crack addicts. And when they run out of money, we'll bail them out, just by buying their armies.
Man, I eat gas money home, you want to buy my green eggs?
Yeah, exactly. I can't eat tomorrow. Can you buy my green knights? Because I ran out of money because I bought all my grey knights. And so yeah, it's kind of nice.
I think we're like a model pawn shop.
Part of me wants to open the store because we'd make so much money because we could just have them just sign the back of their paychecks. I'd be like, just hand it. Here's your paycheck, sign the back, thank you. And I'll go to the store and pick out your models. All right, next question. And then, honestly, I think Steve would actually do that.
Yeah, we both would.
Yeah, you probably would too, actually. But Steve has said it numerous times. He's like, I would have to do that, and it would be bad. Next question. Yes.
Earlier, you mentioned a failed prank.
Oh.
Who should describe this?
Okay, the person guilty, the person who happened to, the innocent bystander, or the guy who finds it all hilarious.
The guy who finds I found it pretty hilarious.
I found it pretty hilarious too.
I thought I was gonna die!
Just saying.
Okay, so, you know what, I'll tell it from my perspective. From my perspective, this is what happened. So I'm out floating around talking to people last night, and then I come up the elevator and I go to the room, and I'm walking down the hall and I see Matt, and he's like,
What time is it? Did you say
what time it was? 1?
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
2. Okay, 2 o'clock. And he's like, his
No, it wasn't. It was like
his eyes, no, it was like 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like
it was like 2 o'clock.
He wouldn't be coming back to the room.
Okay, and he walks down the hallway, and his eyes are really, like, he's tired. I can tell he just walked out of bed, and I'm like, oh, what's up, right? And he's like, and then he walks around the corner, and I'm like, okay, I'll follow you, see what's happening. And then around the corner, I see Quirk, Josh, and Quirk's buddy Steve. Okay, not the Mountain Steve, Steve. And Matt confronts Quirk. He's like, all right, give me the card. And Quirk's like, what? And he's like, give me the card. Like, I don't have it. Like,
Card to my room.
Okay, card in my room. I saw you in my room. Give me the card. Like, no, I don't have it.
I wasn't lying. I didn't have it.
Quirk, I saw your mohawk. You're in my room. Give me my card. And he was still denying it, still saying, no, I do not have it. And his face when he's lying is awesome. Like, I love his lying face because later on, which I guess, the conversation with Josh, he said when Quirk lies, he just goes like, no, I didn't. Like, he just doesn't blink. And, he says absolute statements. I did not steal it, or whatever. And it was great, because I'm here like, what's going on? And it keeps on escalating, because Matt's like, Quirk, give me my card. And I'm like, as I don't want to interfere, because I see he's getting more ticked. And I see Quirk is getting more, no, and I'm like, I actually don't know what's going on. I'm loving every second of it. I have no idea. So I'm going to see how this pans out. And then Matt goes back to the room for a second, and then he comes back out and says, all right, so you're telling me that I got a phone call, and I said, someone was saying, is Josh Nelson in your room? That's what happened, right? Oh, Josh Nelson's room?
I got a call from the front desk.
From the front desk.
Saying, hey, is Josh Nelson allowed to have a card to your room? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so
because we had 2 rooms.
Okay. Okay, so that's what happened. He came back, and he said, all right, so Quirk, I'm going to go downstairs to the front desk, and I'm going to figure this out and see what happened.
No, I was just going to go down and change my card.
And change my card, and you're like, okay, Steve, give him this card. So he actually had it in his pocket the whole time, and that's kind of like, once like outside sources were going to be like involved, you're like, okay, there's no way out of this.
This is escalating too quickly.
It's escalating too quickly. And then Matt's like, all right, good night. And then he goes off into the room. And then these guys kind of disperse. And then a couple minutes later, I go into Josh's room. Not because I wanted to talk to him about it, because I wanted to talk to him about something else. But he just started talking to me about it. And then Josh is like, all right, so this is...
You gotta let Quirk tell what his attempt was.
No, this is the... Okay, well, I'll say this, and then I'll let Quirk say what the attempt was, because the attempt is just hilarious.
It's so dumb.
It's brilliant. It's so stupid. This made no sense. But it was hilarious because it backfired. Okay, so I'm in there, and Josh is like, all right, so... No, I can't say this because you have to say it, because then I'll just say what you're going to say.
So what happened from your point of view?
Yeah, what's your perspective?
Okay, so to tell a little bit further back, when we were staying at Adepticon, Josh and I were crashing together, and now Josh hates the idea of having to share a room with me at all. He hates the idea of me being in his hotel room. So I was going to try and figure out some way of getting to his hotel room here, and either just not leaving, or messing with stuff. So we're walking back, and I see the concierge, and I'm like, I think I can figure out a way to figure out where Josh's room is. I even think I can get a key. So I walk up to the concierge and I go, hi, I'm Josh Nelson. I've lost my key, and I honestly had the room number written on it. Is there any way I could get another key? And she goes, sure, what's the name under? Josh Nelson? No, it's not under that. Dave Nordquist. Yeah, it's right here. Perfect, great. I know there's one that has 2 occupants and one that has 1. I'm in the one that has 1. She's like, okay, well, let me just call really quick to figure out which room you're in, and we can get this all sorted for you. Great, thanks. Calls. Matt wakes up.
Finally, I fell asleep.
Matt wakes up, and I hear the lady go, is it okay if Josh Nelson has a key to your room? And Matt goes, yeah. Okay, great, thanks. And I'm like, okay, great. Make sure it's not the key to that room, because that is the room that my boss is staying in. I don't want to go to that room. She goes, okay. Pulls everything out. Here's your key. Great, thanks. And I start walking off. I'm like, I really hope I didn't mess this up. And I really hope I have the key to Josh's room and not Matt and Dave's. Turns out I had the key to Matt and Dave's. And I didn't realize this until I got to the door, and I opened the door. I got to the thing, I'm like, okay, I'm really hoping I don't have the wrong door here. Open the door really slowly, and I look inside. I don't see any shoes. I don't see any bags or anything. I was like, okay, I can't figure out whose room this is, and the lights are off, so I know Josh isn't here. And I honestly thought you guys were still farting around, so if I had walked in and there was nobody, I was like, okay, whatever, I'd leave. So I just pull my phone out, I turn the light on, I just really quickly kind of peek in, and all I hear is Matt go, who dat? Book it. I actually ran and grabbed the door so fast and went to pull it closed that I actually caught my finger in the door. And I just booked it down the hall. I'm like, wrong room, wrong room, wrong room, wrong room. And then I got confronted later on, and
like 2 minutes later.
Like 2 minutes later.
As long as it took me to get dressed.
But I panicked. I was like, oh, that was so the wrong room. And I can't go down to concierge and get them to change it because they know by now I'm not Josh Nelson. But I thought it was a good plan. I was going to go in there, and if Josh was there, I'd be like, hey, I found your room. I got a key. I'm not leaving. And just driving insane. If it wasn't, I was going to go in there and write a marker and grab the notepad and just put, I found your room, Quirk, and just leave it on his bed or something. But yeah, it backfired hard.
You're going to add more to this?
Yeah,
story?
there is actually more. I have a confession to make. So when the confrontation was happening in front of me, about an hour before this, it is a confrontation. Now, I was actually seriously thinking that Matt was going to fire Quirk, and I would have to have a discussion with Matt, like, are you sure that we want to do this? But okay, I went into the room, into Matt and our room an hour earlier to get our stuff for our booth, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe Matt thought that I was Quirk, and now he's mad at Quirk, and I'm just letting this happen. I'm like, what do I do? Do I interject here? Like, Matt, maybe you're thinking it was him, but it was actually me. But the card thing makes no sense. So I'm just going to let this ride out.
Exactly.
So I had
Your profile's a little different than his.
Yeah, a bit of I don't have a mohawk, and I don't run away.
Yeah, right. It's probably not Dave.
Okay, and there's one more thing that I have to add, because this is hilarious. So after I had the discussion with Josh, and Josh told me, and Josh texted Quirk, he's like, Quirk, you need to call Dave. Because he didn't want to call Matt. So, Quirk, he calls me and he's like, oh, no, you call me. I'm like, hey, Quirk. You're like, hey, Dave. I'm like, hey, what's up? Dave, do you want to ask me anything? Quirk, you called me. And you're like, yeah, I guess that's how that works.
I was still shell-shocked about how bad that backfired.
This was one of the best conversations ever. You have something to tell me. I'm like, you called me. That makes no sense. Oh, it made my night. Oh man.
Here, real quick.
Oh, whoa.
Okay.
What's going on?
Oh, this will never end. My hilarious perspective was I had no idea what was happening.
Another perspective.
So I remember going back, because I went, I'd been up to my room, and then I went back down, and I said I was going to say, to Quirk and his to Steve, hey, I'm taking off for the night. Don't go looking for me. And I couldn't find them downstairs, so I was going back up to my room. So as the elevator door opens, and I'm getting ready to text Quirk to be like, hey, I couldn't find you, I'm going to bed. He's standing there. Him and Steve both kind of looking a little bit scared. And I'm like, what are you guys doing on this floor? And Quirk right away goes, I think I broke into Matt's room. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I ran away and I didn't know if I closed the door. And as I'm processing this hilarious little tidbit of information is when Matt walked around the corner. So I'm just standing there going, oh my, this is going to be hilarious. I don't know what happened, and I cannot wait to find out what happened. But this is going to be just great.
All right, enough of that story. Moving on, as we all will, except for Steve, who will bother Quirk about this for the next year.
The mountain
Forever.
Steve.
The Steve the Mountain, yeah. All right, so it's getting late, so we have time for another question or two. Any other questions?
How's the Deathwatch army coming?
There you go.
The Deathwatch army currently, I don't know. Actually, no, we've seen, I think, 2 battle reports with the full 2,000 points. Since then, I've been able to add a little bit more. I have 2 more games waiting to come out for the Deathwatch, but the army's growing quite nicely. So the recent additions that have been finished up, painted yet, that I don't think have been in any games is I have a second Corvus painted up, ready to go, as well as I've got a fully magnetized Land Raider. I'm still waiting for more shoulder pads to come in, because as people are watching the video, they're figuring out what I was trying to do by getting shoulder pads sent in. So the next addition is I have, I want to say about 6 Deathwatch bikers to be added to the army, but as long as there's still interest in people sending in shoulder pads, I'm just going to keep adding new stuff to the army. And I was probably going to add new stuff anyways, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm having a ton of fun playing it. That's probably my favorite army in 8th edition right now, just because it's a weird, kind of tough to play little army. I really hope they get rid of some of the weird restrictions on characters and things I'm allowed to take. I don't fully understand why I can't take like a chaplain with a jump pack or a power fist. I was going to say it might have been something to do with available models from Games Workshop, but it's not tough to convert or chop off a shoulder pad and put it onto an existing other chaplain. So yeah, the army's coming along well, and I absolutely love that army. It's a super cool project. It's something that's really special to me too, because the gaming community as a whole is really special to me, and to be able to have something that means so much to myself, as well as people are sending stuff in, and it's this cool thing that they get to see. So I'm loving that army.
All right, one more question, right there.
Yay. So what is the future? Not really a question, I guess, but what is the future of MiniWarGaming? What do you guys, as far as your future endeavors?
I think you want to talk about that?
Yeah. All right, let's talk about it.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff, but there's one really cool thing that's happening with us over the following year, or the coming year, so let Dave will talk about that.
Thank you for this question. This is the last question. It's very fitting for it to be the last question. The future, and this actually affects MiniWarGaming in a very big way, because it not only adds more revenue streams to MiniWarGaming, but it changes what MiniWarGaming is and what the experience will be for people who visit MiniWarGaming, and also the content that we produce will be changed slightly because of it. So we have invested in a new building. It's going to be called the MiniWarGaming Bunker. And right now we currently have 4,000-ish square feet, and the new building has 11,000 square feet. And I had this idea a couple of years ago, and I've been thinking about it and kind of just putting it out there, and had discussions with Matt about it. When people come to MiniWarGaming, it'd be an awesome thing if they just were able to stay at MiniWarGaming, because they travel from all over the world. We're booking bat reps up to 6 months in advance, and instead of all that revenue going out, it could be coming in, because it's kind of incidental money anyway. And it would just be a good experience, right? People would be able to stay, and they can game later, because we're 9 to 5 when we're making the videos. And like I said, it was just kind of maybe 5-10 years down the road, we'd be able to do this on our own. And a very good friend of mine named Hunter, I'm going to say Hunter White, because we know who you are, you know who you are, and now everyone knows who you are. He is one of the producers of the Rangers film that we are producing. And I told him this idea of the bunker when I went to Origins with him not too long ago. And we had a discussion about it, and he's like, Dave, we got to do this. And I was like, yeah, we got to do this. I wasn't at all expecting the involvement or excitement. I was just expecting, I'm here to listen to this cool idea, right? And Hunter, he has capital for this, and so he is not only purchasing the building, but he's providing a budget, construction budget for the new build out. So what the new MiniWarGaming will look like is, it won't have 4 studios, it's going to have 6 studios. And they're going to be themed like how the current studios are themed, 360 view no matter where you are. There's a tournament room. There's a 60 by 30 foot tournament room that can house 50 to 60 people. And that's awesome, because that not only opens up local people, but people participating in tournaments, and also large events that could also translate to campaigns. So picture this as an example, Gorka Morka campaign that people outside, people not MiniWarGaming content producers, can participate in, and that we rotate through the studios, and we can film with them, or Path to Glory campaigns, and so forth, on and on. And that's the tournament room. There's also a gaming store that's in the front, which when people come to MiniWarGaming, that's the first thing that they're going to see, and it's going to be themed and decorated like diorama heaven. It's going to be like, whoa, like that. This is cool. People who don't even know what miniature wargaming is, they walk in the store like, what is this? Like that's the feeling that we're going for. And there is apartments attached to the buildings, all part of the same 11,000 square feet. It's the top level where people can stay overnight. And so picture this, there's barracks and private suites, all themed like an Imperial Guard. like themed room where it's fully immersive, right? So you're sleeping here, you're playing here. And this is the cherry on top for me, because I think this is just a really, really fun idea, and we had the space to do it. We're also going to have 40K themed escape rooms that are on location. This gives me goosebumps. Like, it's hard for me to sleep thinking about this stuff. And the thing I love about this is it's like a real life video game, because picture you going through this escape room and you're collecting objectives, and you put them into a mechanism, and that's the primary objective that you're trying to achieve. And that allows you to escape the space Hulk that you are in, because the Gene Stealers are behind you. And that is the theme of the first escape room. And there's also going to be a Nurgle-themed escape room, because then that gives the excuse to have zombies. And then we could also advertise it. We can do the double advertising to the people who don't know what Warhammer is. If we say to the local traffic, it's like, hey, we have a zombie escape room. Right? So there's that. And the other one might be a fantasy-themed escape room, or whatever else. But that's up in the air. But maybe that will have like a dungeon type of thing that we can do for that. So the idea is people come to MiniWarGaming, they can, they would go into a hotel anyway, so we basically make it so it's a no-brainer to stay at MiniWarGaming. And there'd be packages available, and we have to hash out details, all of that. And that's actually the fun part. We can figure out different plans, and this package can include your stay and escape room, and bed and breakfast, continental, whatever, so there's no reason to leave MiniWarGaming when you are staying at MiniWarGaming. And that's the future of the shell of MiniWarGaming. The content and everything, that'll stay similar, and will flow with whatever new updates are coming, so that'll be similar, right? But the actual experience of MiniWarGaming and the machine that we are, that's what it's going to become.
We will let people leave, though, if they want. We are 20 minutes away from Niagara Falls, so it might be a good reason for them to leave in one of the evenings, at least if they're there. I'm really excited for that thing. It will kind of change a lot of the focus. The videos, you will notice a difference, but at the same time, you might not, because you'll notice like the difference in the studios. There'll be a lot more variety in them, and allow us to expand in a lot of ways. Our storage space is, we're out of storage space. It's just full of terrain and miniatures. The rate of expansion that has been going has not allowed us to really keep up to that. But you're going to see possible things like Apocalypticon coming back, tournaments. The nice thing is, because we have the studio in the event space, we can have like 20 people sign up for a Gorka Market campaign, and they show up and they play in the event space, but they rotate into the studios where they're filmed. So they get to be on camera, but we can still have like 20 people there, which gives us more of a variety. It gives them more stuff to do. They get to play more games. Then we have a tournament where the semifinals and finals are held in the studios, and so that's what's filmed. So you don't have to watch all the other ones. You just watch the ones that have made it far enough that they're it's almost like they're vetted to be in the actual battle reports. So we can actually have tournament style battle reports without us being really good at tournaments, because a lot of people come to this. I know like Quirk's interested in tournaments and stuff, but myself, I'll never learn the meta of all that kind of stuff, so I'll never be the person for that. But if I filmed 2 people who were playing and they had made it to this stage, then you're going to get at least a somewhat competitive game. So it just opens up a whole new ball game for that. And then there's other stuff to talk about for the future, is just the continued coverage that you see. And we've already talked about a few things, like I'm trying to find ways for us to be able to cover other games as well and expand on those types of content. And that could be a big thing too, if we can get that all in place. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. I hope that you enjoyed this, and we'll be posting this on our site sometime. But I hope that you enjoy the rest of Nova Open. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.